Emily from Nobel Novels, and welcome to today's video. This is my July wrap-up part 2. Now, we thought I read loads in June. Turns out I read even more in July. Admittedly, some of them are short, and I certainly was not expecting to get through as many as I did. So, shall I get down to it and tell you? I read 39 books this month. Please be aware, there is a reason for this, and I will explain that shortly. But it's not all physical books. Okay, so there is a little cheat on that one. But that's Charlie's fault. So blame Charlie Brooke. Go on Instagram, blame her. Pickla's mum. Have a go at her. She's the one that made me do this. Right, so I read a total of 39 books. Only 25 of them were mine. The rest were borrowed books from either audiobook, ebook, or my sister. So that's why I bought, yeah, you're going to kill me on this one, 58 books this month. Pretty much all of them are charity shop, some car boot. There was only, I think, a couple from Amazon. I don't tend to do very many Amazon orders these days, although that's not counting the fact that I've already got 2 that I've got in my basket ready for ordering on their new release. But, you know, I'm trying to be good, but yes, I did buy a lot. So, my total TBR unread now is 387. Still under 400. That's not too bad. Could be better, could be worse. But, yeah, I know I'm a bit of a reading addict. I have no idea how I'm going to do in August because I'm obviously having a break from the channel a little bit. So that will give me more time to read. But I've got the kids off and I've got some real chunky books. Check out my TBR. You'll see I've got some massive, massive books to read this month. That's Chris and Linda's fault, so I'm blaming them. But, shall I get on with you and tell you the genres? I'll start at the least number and then go to the maximum. Although you'll probably, seeing as it was Jane Austen July, you will more than likely be able to guess what genre I've read the most. Now, what I have done differently this month is that I've stopped counting YA and middle grade as a genre because it's more of an age thing, and I read someone say about this. So what I've done is, in the YA books, I've put them down as the genres that I think they would be, and the ones that have come up in Goodreads as their sort of sub-genre. So, hopefully that kind of allows you an idea of roughly what I'm doing, but should we go for it? Okay, so I only read 1 thriller this month, which is a bit of a letdown, but the thriller I read was amazing, and you'll see that shortly, which one I did read. I read 3 non-fiction. That's alright. Could be better, could be worse. 4 chick lit. Not too bad. I like that number. It's not too many this month. 5 contemporary. Again, not too bad. Reasonably happy with that. 5 fantasy. Woo! Well chuffed with that. I'm loving my fantasies now. You guys are amazing at encouraging me to read those. 9 historical fiction. Oh my goodness. I have smashed that. And included in that, I've done historical fictions from different countries, from different eras. So I'm smashing that target. Need to get down and add that to my sort of target list. And I read 10 classics. It was Jane Austen July. I was going to read loads. But it means that I've only set myself 1 for July, for August, because I need a bit of a classics break. I've got to get ready for Victober, although I'm already preparing my books for Victober. How mad am I? I love talking to Kate from Kate Howe about this, and I'm really, really loving getting myself ready for it already. I've read 2 audiobooks, so listened to 2 audiobooks, sorry. 4 ebooks. Now, ebooks, that is something I'm so going to recommend. Where the libraries have been closed and where they're still very limited in their opening, Charlie said about ebooks, and I thought, oh, I'm going to try it. I found some amazing ones. Last month, obviously, I read at the start of the month, I read Clap When You Land on ebook, and I found some amazing books on ebooks. The Court of the Thorns and Roses series are on there, so once I finish reading the 3rd one, which I'm reading with Linda in September, sneaky peek, the rest of them are actually on the ebooks, so I can read them on there, and I don't have to buy them if I don't want to. Although I might well anyway, but you know what I'm like, I only buy them charity shops, so if I find them, I find them. If not, I can carry on the series on ebooks and carry on reading them with you, Linda. Can't wait to read them with you. And I'm loving that series. So that's been amazing, an amazing find. Something I'm really looking forward to. I did DNF 1 book, which was Trouble in the Village by Jennifer Shaw. It had too many confusing characters. I got about 20 to 30 pages in and went, no, this month I really am trying to prioritise books that I want to read. So I DNF'd it quite quickly. But it's obviously a book to go off my shelf, so that's another one to get on my jumbers. But we're 5 minutes in and I haven't shown you the books. I will go over each book, but because there is so many books to show you, I won't go into detailed descriptions. If you do want any more sort of detailed reviews, please check out my Goodreads page or Nobel Novels, or like just basically ask me and I'll tell you what I think of it, because I am trying to be quite good. So I'll start off with the least ratings and I'll go up to the top. And I'll work out which ones I'm charity shopping, which ones I'm giving back, and do it that way. So the first one, I read Hamlet for the lovely Olivia's catastrophe. She was doing a Shakespeare readathon. I'm gutted it's only 3 stars, but it's not 2. It was alright, but I much preferred Midsummer Night's Dream, and I will be looking more for the funny, comical Shakespeare books in the future, although I do want to read Macbeth actually, so that's... But this is not, and the copy I've got, it's got so many notes, which can be helpful because it described it, but it also helped me get lost quite a lot. So this copy is going bye-bye. But again, it's a book that I'm glad to say I've read finally. It was on my top 100 books that I needed to get read, so that's done. So thank you, Olivia, for getting that done. Then I read a Charlotte Bronte book, The Professor. This has got like this is probably one of the least favourites for a lot of people, The Professor. I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Billette, I think. Billette, I think, was 3 stars as well, but it's only marginally more. It was slightly better than Billette because it's from the male point of view, whereas Billette's from the female point of view. But again, it's very similar. They're both set in very similar countries, like Belgium and things. I don't know exactly what country, but it's very similar to that. It's the story of William Crimsworth, who travels to Brussels to seek his future and falls in love with Frances, a school teacher and lacemaker. Now, I love the romance in this book. I've said 3 stars, but it could be 3.5, because that part of it was really, really good. And he's pursued by Mademoiselle Reuter, which I think she was... I remember that sort of name in Billette. This is not one of Charlotte Bronte's best books by far, but it's one I'm glad I've read. I've only got 1 or 2 more books of the Brontes to read now, and I'm glad I did this, but it's not a favourite. I don't know whether I'll keep it or not, because obviously I love my Bronte books, but I don't know if it's good enough to keep or not keep, or whether I should reread it and save it to reread in October another year. Please, guys, let me know. Keep or unhaul on that one. Right. Yeah, I want that. So in the comments below, keep or unhaul that one. Another book that I wanted to get this off my shelves. It's Ordinary People. It is 3 stars, so it is really well. It is a good book. It's a contemporary book, I believe. It's about Melissa and Damien. It's about 2 couples that are finding themselves in the moment of reckoning. Melissa has a new baby and doesn't want it to change her life. Damien has lost his father and intends not to let it get to him. Michael is still in love with Melissa but can't quite get close enough for her to stay faithful. And Stephanie wants a normal, happy life on the commuter belt with Damien and their 3 children, but his bereavement's getting in the way. This tackles bereavement, parenthood, and quite a lot of issues in quite a well way. They are both black couples that are in London, and so you also tackle a bit of the racial issues that they go through, which I found was really interesting. You tackle parenthood. Now, obviously, I related to some of Melissa's problems with postnatal depression. I could totally relate to that because I did have that with my daughter. But it's hard because she's using that as almost an excuse for cheating. But we do lose ourselves as parents. I certainly know as a mother, you can find yourself lost in your children. You're doing your best for them, but you lose your identity. So that I found quite relatable. I found a lot of this book relatable, but it wasn't. The ending wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, and I didn't enjoy it as much. But again, it's 3 stars. It was really good. It's a great book, and it's one I certainly recommend. It's set in the 90s, I believe, which is another quite interesting part. But I'm glad I read it. Definitely think I needed to read it again. 3 stars. That will be going to charity shop though. Now I'm already, I think, I've got to tell you about the book I listened to on ebook, which was The Bass Rock. I listened to it on audiobook, and it is by Evie Wilde, I believe. It's one that Simon raved about, and a few people have raved about, and I wanted to love it. It's set in Scotland. It's got a few different leading characters who, over the different historical fiction eras, over different historical eras, their lives have got some sort of connection. It's a bit of mystery, a bit of thriller, a bit of death, it also tackles abuse. It tackles quite a few different things that were really hidden in those times. So that part was interesting, but it was not as good as I wanted it to be. I wanted to love that book, but I didn't. so that's why it only got 3 stars. But I'm glad I read it. Now already, because I didn't have any 2 stars, I'm already onto my 4 stars. This is the one bit. Now I will go into books that were amazing. I've got some of the best books of the year in here, and wow. I've loved this part of the books, these books that I'm going to show you. First one is one that has gone from a 2 stars last year, when I read it for Jane Austen July last year, to a 4 stars this year. This is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I didn't like it last year, so I got rid of my copy. A Bookshare friend sent me this, and so I could reread it, and I'm glad I did. I went from 2 to 4 stars. I enjoyed it far more. I loved Anne Elliott's character. I really fell in love with her this time round, and it's one that I'm definitely going to keep this book because it's so good. Yes, it's got a comment about freckles not being pretty, and I've got freckles, and that annoyed me a little bit. But Anne Elliot is the strongest out of her 3 siblings. She's got 2 other sisters. They're both sort of favoured by their father because Anne's not classed as the prettier one. But Anne's got the best heart. She tries to look after her sisters, her nieces and nephews, and she turns down the man she loves at the start of the book because he's not deemed good enough. And it's her realisation that just because someone thinks that their partner's good enough, it doesn't mean they are. And I love that. I love her finding her strength and standing up for what she believes in. This is one that's definitely keepy. Now, the next one I borrowed from Mia, but I've told her she's not reading this yet because it's my sister's. One of my sisters gave it to her. It's by Maori Towers, so I knew I was going to love this. And this is The Girl of the Ink and Stars. It's a YA, but I think it's I think I classed it as fantasy, because it was really good. Middle grade or YA fantasy. Each of us carries a mop of our lives on our skin, in the way we walk, even in the way we grow. And it's really about this sort of setting on a forbidden to leave her island, set on an island that's having a real hard time. These people this governor kind of guy came over, and he sort of almost wrecked the island, and stuff happens. And it's about Isabella, the lead character, going on a journey to find a girl that's a friend who's gone missing. And she discovers so much more. She discovers a strength that she didn't realise she had. I won't give you spoilers, but this is a brilliant good book. But I don't think an 8-year-old, I think it's too mature and little bit too scary for my 8-year-old, so I want her to wait another year or 2 before she reads this. Because there are certain bits that I think, if they scared me, they'll certainly scare her. Although, yeah, we know I'm a whip. But that's to go back to Mia. That's to go back to Mia, so let's go over there. Now I've got this 4-star. I'm going to be giving this book to Chloe, so I will not be telling you spoilers on this. It is a good book, and it's one that I will still give to Chloe because 4 stars is a good chick lit. It's about, there's 2 people that go on the same train, and they sort of have a connection, basically. The guy sends an advert. Daniel sees this girl on the train, and he likes her from first sight. He's also seen her a few other times, and he sends her a message via these newspaper things, like missed connections, about girl with the coffee stain, I've seen you, kind of check me out sort of thing. And it's about how they keep sort of missing each other, and their lives are connected in different ways. So you've got the 2 different sort of characters that you go into each chapter. They're different. Nadia's one and Daniel's. They've both kind of got their own problems, both got their own life issues. I love Daniel. He's a bit of a big book crush on this because he does sound like a lovely man, and certainly someone that you can relate to. Daniel has dad's died, and that's something I can tell you straight away at the start. And he has his own battles, but so he has his own confidence issues as well. He seems quite shy, and he's trying to look after his mum and trying to be a nice guy. Nadia's been hurt like so many of us, and she's a bit reluctant to fall in love again. And they sort of send each other messages in the daily paper, and it's quite interesting. The cute girl in the coffee stain going for a drink sometime, and it's how their lives connect and disconnect. It is great. It's a really great book, and it's one I'm really glad I read. I read it for the Join the 6th Readathon because it's got a bold cover. So thank you, Kaz and Emily and that lot, because I'm so glad I picked this up. It was so brilliant, such good fun, and I can't wait for Chloe. Hope you like it, Chloe. That's my Cindy off one. This is one I borrowed from Charlie, so it's a borrow one. It's A Keeper by Graham Norton. This is historical fiction as well, but kind of a little bit. It's Elizabeth Keane. She returns to Ireland after her mother's death, intent on only wrapping up part of her life. But perhaps she has not found a small stash of the letters. The truth would never come to light. 40 years earlier, a young woman stumbles from a remote stone house into darkness and away from the cliffs and seas. She has no sense of where she's going, only that she must keep on. This is a bit more thrillerish than I realised. It's a bit kind of Kathy Bates. I will give you an honest. There's a bit of Kathy Bates scary stuff in this. But the writing's really good. It's a really good book. Not a 5-star, but I did enjoy it. Really glad I read it. And it's certainly got really good writing. And I loved Elizabeth's character. And it's more about her mum and that sort of things. And the things about what happened to her. And so that's it's definitely a bit more sort of scary. So that's my Charlie Going Back book pile. See, I've got get my different piles here. Then I read The Miniaturist. This is one book that's been on my shelf for a very long time. Wanted to try it. I liked Jessie Burt. I liked the sound of Jessie Burt, and I read the Confessions by her at the start of the month. So I wanted to read this one. 4 stars. It is really good. It's set in 1686. 18-year-old Nella Ortman arrives at a grand house in Amsterdam, different era and different country, to begin her new life as the wife of the merchant Johannes Brand. This has got LGBTQI+ issues in this, which I wasn't expecting, but that fit amazingly. And considering their eras, the things that happened, it's really hard hitting. So be warned, you are going to see some triggers, some abuse, some sort of prejudice against them. That was quite interestingly well written. And Nella discovers the secrets of her new household, and she realises the escalating dangers they face. The miniaturist seems to only hold their fate in their hands, but does she plan to save or destroy them? I won't give away any plot holes in this, but it is brilliant. I've been told that this is better than The Muse, so I wanted to read this before I read The Muse. It is a great book. It's historical fiction done really well. Really glad I read this. So thank you, Charlie, for encouraging me to try that one. But that is a charity shop. Now another one I read from Charlie, which is She Lent Me This. I can't remember why she lent me this, but this is fantasy. It's YA fantasy, I believe, and it's a retelling of The Frog Prince, The Frog Kisser. This is so much blooming fun. I absolutely 101% love this book. Yes, it's only 4 stars, but that's because it took a while to get into. It's a bit of a slow starter, but it's brilliant. It's about a princess who she's like the second princess. She's got an older sister. Their evil stepfather, who is the baddie, and he's trying to destroy everyone. He's trying to sort of kill them all people. He's like a magician. It's got magician, fantasy, witches, wizards, a bit of everything in it. It's blooming brilliant. Great YA book. I certainly want to find more fairy tale retellings because it's so much fun. And it's about Princess Anya. She loves her older sister, Princess Morven, even though Morven can quite frankly be rather annoying. And she refuses to kiss the frog. And then the frog, she has to kiss the frog because she obviously has to get married to save the kingdom because she's next in line. Save the kingdom from the evil stepfather. So that's really good fun. And it's the journey that Anya goes on, this crusade almost, to find the things to have dispelled so that she can, for a special balm, so that she can kiss the frog, turn him into a prince, and save their kingdom. Oh my goodness, there are some great characters. It's such a good fun book. I will give that back to Charlie because I know she will love it, but I think Mia will want to borrow that at some point when she gets older because it's such a good... I love fairy tale retellings, and that was done really, really well in a fantasy era. And I'm just going to check if there is any more 4-star books that are on my list. Nope. So we're now going to a 5-star. I've got a total of 10 5-star books to talk to you about. And this is only in the second half of the month. So God did I do well. I don't need to go into much detail on this one. It's the 3rd one in the Maori Towers series. I need to buy the last one. I'm going to be going on ABE Books and getting a second-hand copy because I can't find it anywhere in the charity shops. Maori Towers, you guys know I love a bit of Enid Blyton, love a bit of Maori Towers. This is a keepie because Mia's going to love that. But yes, it's 5 stars. Didn't let me down. Characters you love. All the fun. The next one, you'll be proud of me, guys. This is another one that is historical fiction, set in a different era. It is by Tahani Lee. It's a book told in verse. Charlie gave this to me. I think I'm going to keep this because I think Mia would like her to read this eventually. For the 10 years of her life, Hart has only known Saigon, the thrills of the market, the joys of its tradition, the warmth of her friends close by, and the beauty of her own proprietary. But now the Vietnam War has reached her home. Hart and her family are forced to flee Saigon as Saigon falls as they board a ship to facing hope. And this is about them going to America. It's about the Vietnam War. It's written in verse, so it's really easy to fly through. Again, we tackle racism, we tackle all the prejudices she faces when she gets to America, and her strength, and how she grows and how she changes. Now, this is actually based a lot on the author's real journey and what she went through, but apparently the character of Har is always stronger and what Har he wanted to be. So I think it's a brilliant book. It's a keepy book. It's one that if you want to know more about the Vietnam War, if you want to read it from a child's point of view, if you want to read a book in verse, then I would pick that. That is brilliant. I love that way more than I expected to. Next one, another one I borrowed from Charlie, Nightingale Point. This was up for some awards this year. It deserves it. Oh my goodness. Again, this is set, I think it's like the 80s or 90s, and this tackles racism. It tackles prejudice. It tackles so many issues, and it's done in such a hard-hitting way. It's a book that made me cry, but I flew through because it was so good. Mary has a secret life that no one knows about, not even Malachi or Tristan, the brother she vowed to look after. Malachi has to grow up too quickly. After looking after Tristan and nursing a broken heart, he feels older than his 21 years. Tristan wishes that Malachi would stop pining for Pamela. They wonder why he's falling in with the wrong crowd without Malachi to even keep him straight. Then we've got Elvis, who has got some disabilities. I think it's mental health issues or something. No, I think he's autistic. Please don't quote me on that. I don't want to get that wrong. But he's trying too hard to remember the instructions his care worker gave him, but sometimes he gets confused and forgets things. Their lives, and then we've got Pamela, who wants to run back to Malachi, but her overprotective father has locked her in, and there's no way out. It's a day like no other until something extraordinary happens. When the sun sets, Nightingale Point and its residents are irrevocably changed, and somehow, through the darkness, they must find their way back to the light and find each other. Their lives are interlinked great. It's really hard-hitting, very emotional. Be aware that you will end up crying on this, but it's such a beautifully written book. I would love to pick up more books by this author. It's brilliant. It does, to give you a little spoiler, it's got links to almost like the Grenfell Tower, that disaster, that whole tower block, and what can happen in that. So that's definitely a book that Charlie. Then I read my thriller, which the lovely Tia was my Friend's Choices book. I think I forgot to mention that in my last video, but this was my Friend's Choice for the month. Turn the Key by Ruth Ware. I was given this I won this because the lovely Lara nominated me for it on a Twitter giveaway by the author. She nominated me, which I think was brilliant. This is my first Ruth Ware book, and wow, it's amazing. It's one of the best it's one of my best thrillers ever. It's actually a thriller I'm going to keep. It is that goddamn it good. When Rowan comes across the advert, it seems too good to be true. A live-in nanny position with an extraordinary, generous Sally. What she doesn't know is that she's stepping forward into a nightmare where one child was dead and she's going to be in a cell awaiting her trial for murder. And this is about, you start off with them telling you about the murder of the child, but you're intrigued as to which child it is, what leads up to it, and Rowan is contacting a person that she wants to be a lawyer, she wants to represent, and she's telling her story to them, and it's done brilliantly. There are so many twists and turns. I didn't get who the killer was until they actually told me. I didn't guess it at all, which is a sign of a good thriller. Didn't expect half the twists and turns in this, didn't guess any of it. It was brilliant, and it's one I certainly, if you want to pick up a Ruth Ware book, if you want to pick up a thriller, go for this. It's brilliant. Now the next one, I was supposed to bloody read with Clint, but I think he went a bit quiet because he's obviously very busy. It's the third in the Lunar Chronicles, and wow, it is absolutely amazing. This is Cress, and this is a Rapunzel retelling, I believe. It's sort of telling you Cress's stories, almost like Rapunzel. Cress has risked everything to warn Cinder of Queen of Ravana's evil plan. Only she has a slight problem. She's imprisoned in a satellite since childhood, and has only had Navi screens to come. I can't tell you too much about this because if I do, it will give you hints to the other two books, Cinder and Scarlet. Now, you guys know I love Scarlet, so you do see a bit of the Scarlet's characters in this, but it is more around Cress and Cinder and more around them, not so much about Scarlet and Wolf. But it is 5 stars all the way. It's even better than Scarlet, which I didn't think was possible. Now, the next big book is supposed to be Winter, but I've been told that you do need to read Stars Above and Fairest first, but I'm not sure which order. So, Charlie or someone, can you please let me know which book do I read next? Because I know I don't read Winter next. Which one do I want to read next? because I want to get this series finished by the end of the year because I absolutely loved it. So glad I read it. It's one of my chunkiest books that my sister's lent me. Over 500 pages, 543 pages, but it's amazing. If you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles, read them. If you're new to fantasy, read this. It's amazing. Oh my goodness. I'm looking at how long this video is. It's very long. The next one, I bought another one borrowed from Charlie, and it's for the Join the Six Readathon, Daisy Jones and the Six. My first book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. OMG, it's amazing. It's a brilliant, brilliant book. It's about the band, Daisy Jones and the Six, how they came to be a band, about their lead characters, about their lives. It's told in like an interview style format, which is new to me, different format. It's told in the sort of 60s, 70s time. If you haven't heard about this, if you haven't read this, it's amazing. Pick it up. It's living brilliant. Easy to fly through. It does tackle like drug abuse, alcohol abuse. It tackles quite a lot of things, but it tackles true love and it tackles about your heart, and it's amazing. Absolutely love this book. And lastly, penultimately, it's Becoming by Michelle Obama. I've had this on my shelves for ages. This is her autobiography. Everyone's heard about this. Very good book. Brilliant or non-fiction book. One I definitely recommend. Pick it up. You hear about her story and she was an amazing woman. Then lastly, I've got an ebook, 2 ebooks I need to talk about briefly before I tell you that. The first one I read was The Shelf, which was an ebook by Holly Acton. I read that on ebook because I'd heard it was actually done by the company that Katie from Books and Things works for. It's a chick lit, it's amazing, 5 stars all the way. It's almost like a reality, like kind of Big Brother show thingy, about girls that get put in this place because they've been dumped by their boyfriends, and how they go on epic journeys to sort of find themselves, and it's hilarious. It's about friendship, it's about standing up for yourself. I think you can kind of guess who's going to win in the end, but it's brilliant. I loved it. It's one, get it. It's on hardback, out in hardback at the moment, or on ebook. Definitely read it. Brilliant book. And the next one I read on ebook, which is only just finished, is Are We All Lemmings and Snowflakes by Holly Bourne. This is 5 stars all the way. It is about a girl who has mental health problems. She doesn't want her to know her diagnosis, but she needs help. She's on the edge, and she goes into this she's like 16, so it's kind of YA. It is definitely YA. And she goes into this help place, and she meets up with loads of people in there, and they all have their own journeys again, and it's tackling issues. It's about you don't need a label, and I totally get that. There were certain bits of this she does have. There it talks about bipolar, it talks about various different mental health, OCD, various different mental health diagnoses. Some of it I related to, the fact that she always says she's not good enough, that everything's her fault. Now you guys know me, I blame myself for a lot of things. I know I don't always word things right on here. I'm not always as good as I could be. I don't always think before I speak. I know that I make mistakes, and I criticise myself a lot. And I'm sorry for things that if I've upset anyone on here with some of the words I've used. But I related to her in a lot of ways, and the 16-year-old me would have got her completely. And I don't have bipolar, as far as I'm aware anyway. But I do relate to a lot of her issues, and I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely amazing. It's one I'm so glad I read. Nicole from A Beautiful Curse Books, she loves it. She loves Holly Bourne's work, and I'm a big Holly Bourne fan, so definitely one. Now, obviously you guys know that I read Clap When You Land, which is one of my favourite books, my other favourite book of the month. But the last favourite book of the month is The Girl with the Pearl Earring by Tracy Chevalier. This is amazing. It's one of the best historical fiction books I think I've ever read. Tracy Chevalier has done amazingly on this. This is for Join the Six Readathon, a bit with the gold on the front cover. This is about a girl, Greet, who is a servant in a big family for a painter and his children. And she goes there to work, and it's amazing. It is just absolutely fall in love with this book. If you like historical fiction, if you like romance, it tackles, again, you've got the plague mixed in, you've got the location is a different location. I can't remember it. I know it's in Europe, and it's brilliant. The daughters, the way Greet stands up to herself, the romance side, the family issues on this, the fact that it's one woman's fight for herself, one young girl's, and it's brilliant. It's set in 16, I think it started off. I buddy read this with the lovely Beth. Set in 1664, and that's the start of the book, and we end, the last chapter I believe is set in 1676, so you've got a little bit over that, and it's Their Journeys. It's a brilliant book and one I would recommend to everyone. If you like historical fiction, you're going to love this. And that's it. God, this is a long video. I'm so sorry, guys. I will see you in my August wrap-up part 1, but I won't be back then after that until my September TBR, because I'm going to be focusing on my children and giving them the best summer they can. But catch me out on Instagram. I'm on Instagram under Novel Novels. Check me out there. Keep an eye on me on there. I'll be on there quite a lot. I will do loads of stacky pictures. I'll do some tag pictures. I'll let you guys know how I'm doing my books on there. And I'll talk to you all on there. And I would love, if you want to chat to me, please feel free just to message me on there. That's where I'll be. I will still comment on my videos. I'll still be watching all yours. But it's going to take the pressure off. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, ring on my ding-a-ling. And if you got to the end of this, well done. See you all soon, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.